Hello, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we are looking at why visualization. All right, why exactly must we use a visualization in Power BI? All right, and so we are just about starting our series on visualization in Power BI. And there's a question that came up when I was doing my research. All right, and so I decided to put it across. And so the question is why? Why exactly do we have to use visualization? When we look at a Power BI report, why exactly do we have to use visualization? Okay, now there's a question that a lot of new beginners either do not understand or do not come to terms with. Okay, now everything we do in Power BI is based on an assumption, or not even an assumption, but it's based on reason that it is to communicate a certain result, all right, or it is to make some sort of communication to our target audience. Okay, and so whatever visualization that we are using should be able to communicate something to the person that takes a project or takes our report. All right. And so in as much as we're about to start our visualization, I needed to clear the air on this. All right. That visualization in Power BI isn't just visualization. All right. Or in this series, it isn't just visualization, but it's so that we are able to communicate to someone who isn't really tech savvy or isn't really good with numbers to understand what we are trying to communicate through visualization. And so whatever visual that we are going to use should be simple enough to communicate something. All right. Now, what do I mean by this? What I simply mean by this is if someone takes my report and sees this, now this is something that the person is not going to understand. What exactly is this? All right. And so even though you've created a visualization, this is not communicating anything. And this is not the main purpose of why this channel was set up. All right. This is not an art series. This is a data analytics series. And so the Power BI that we are doing, we are studying it, we are learning it so that we can be able to use it to communicate our findings. All right. So when I just use this visualization, I just put something out there like this. This doesn't communicate anything. Whereas if someone else puts the same thing but makes it appropriate, now this is communicating something. All right. And so this is what we are going to be looking at in this series of Power BI, where we mainly focus on visualization. All right. In this series of Power BI. So we are going to be using a lot of the things that we've already worked on in our other videos. That's when you look at my Power BI playlist. I'm leaving them somewhere. All right. When you look at that, it all says everything that we are supposed to do, how measures are being done, DAX, how we use the DAX functions, how we use a Power Query, all right. And today's particular point in time, we are about to start up our visualization, all right. And it's important that we understood those things. That is why we started with them before we moved on to visualization. Like I said, Power BI isn't just visualization. It isn't just you just setting it up and start putting visuals together. No, it is so that you are able to communicate something to the end user, to the stakeholders, to our managers. All right. And so I need you to put this in your mind so that once we start, we don't just add any visualization together. This is something that I suffered with, and that is why I decided to make a video on this. All right. To tune your mind to the main purpose of visualization in Power BI, and that is to answer specific questions or important questions relating to the data set that you're working with. Okay. And so one thing that you need to look out for is what are the right questions to ask. Okay. Because if you're starting out and you don't even know the right question to ask, then what are you actually visualizing on? And so it's important to know the right question to ask and to know what you are supposed to show to your stakeholders or to your target audience. All right. So these are things that you need to properly understand. All right. To be able to use the visualizations in Power BI, how you are actually supposed to use them. All right. So this is not going to be a long video. This is just going to be a short video on why visualization and what are the things to keep in mind as we begin our Power BI visualization series. All right. And like I said, first you need to be able to ask specific questions. You take your data set, you need to be able to ask specific questions what this data set is aimed at solving. All right. And then once you get that, you should be able to use the right visualizations to communicate your findings. We don't just put visuals together. All right, this is something a lot of people struggle with. They just put visuals, this and this and this together, and that is wrong. So let's tune our minds to the fact that that's not what we are going to be doing, but we are going to be using Power BI in a way that we are actually supposed to do what to supposed to use them. All right. And so yeah, this is just the beginning. The introduction to our visualization series, and in subsequent videos we'll be talking more about how to format our visuals, how to set up our maps, and a whole other things, right? To many projects in Power BI before we move on to the next tool, right? So I hope this video was helpful. I hope this video is preparing you as we begin our Power BI visualization series, right? And so yeah, I'll catch you or see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe on my videos if you find any of them helpful, of course. And don't forget to leave a comment down below if there's something that you want to share. I appreciate it so much. And so yeah, this is going to be the end. And till then, stay safe. Bye.